Hi, Julia. It's Mrs. Eberly. I just wanted to go over with you a little bit of the sentences that you wrote on Monday for your Greek and Latin roots. Um, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the sentences, like if they're complete sentences, complete thoughts, do they make sense to your reader, as well as kind of helping you a little bit with not just using, the root word, which is kind of what you did here, but instead using words that contain that root word. So again, when you're writing, I really want you to start looking for their subjects and verbs, complete thoughts. Remember that in order for it to kind of count grammatically, you need to have that punctuation and that capitalization. And then when you're writing, I think the hardest part for a writer is that they think about how, well, I know what I want to say, so clearly what I've written, I'm expressing it the correct way to my reader. But sometimes our messages don't come across as clear as we think that they are. So a really good idea, especially in a longer writing piece, but even when you're just kind of, writing maybe a short paragraph or even just in sentences while you're practicing, really checking with someone else, does this sentence make sense? That would be my suggestion to you, is really to read what you've written to someone else and ask them those questions. Or record your voice reading those sentences, and sometimes you'll be able to pick up on the fact that you're going to go, wait, what? I don't even understand what I meant. For me, as a teacher even, I sometimes will walk away from my work and I'll come back to it and I will realize that, oh, wait, this really didn't make sense. I have to edit it. A lot of times I read things out to my husband, or I call my mom and have them listen to it, and they help me say, well, that doesn't really work there. So there's no harm in having someone look at what you do. But your first sentence that you wrote using the word manus, which manus means hand. So the sentence that you wrote was, almost everyone in the world has manus. My thought, first of all, when you hear it, when you even hear myself saying it, that probably doesn't sound entirely correct to you. Especially, let's say you were to put your hand over the screen, right? So I want you to do that for a moment. And then I want you to listen to me say it again. Almost everyone in the world has manus. As a reader and as a listener, right, it's probably not sounding entirely correct to you. My guess is that you meant to say almost instead of almost. But again, you know what you wanted to say. You know the message. But sometimes it just gets, even in spell check sometimes, right, things can kind of get a little bit jumbled. The next part I wanted to talk to you about is, make sure you have those subjects and verbs. So in this sentence, the state of being here is the word has, so that's my verb. And then I always have to ask myself, well, who has or what has? And that would be the word everyone. So I do have that subject and verb, right? But where it then gets confusing is this word manus, okay? I know manus means hand because I know my Greek and Latin roots, right? But not everyone's going to. So what we wanted you to do with this assignment was to use this root word to go and find a word that uses this root. What I came up with was the sentence. So almost, sorry, me with typing. Almost everyone has heard of getting a manicure to make nails look pretty. So in this sentence, right, manus means hand. So where I used that root, right, was in that word mani. But then the way that I clarified, so I was able to show to my reader that I know what manicure means, and I know that manus means hand, is to say nails. Now, a way that I can even make it more specific is to say fingernails, right? So a manicure to make fingernails look pretty. So when Mrs. Schwab and I say to you and to other students, obviously, we want you to be able to show meaning in your sentence. We want you to be able to tell us, well, I really and truly know what this root means. Again, let's look up at your sentence, all right? So complete thought, subject, verb, Punctuation and capitalization are important. So in this sentence, you had the punctuation, but you're missing that capitalization. All right, let's move on to people have morph. So, subject verb, right? So I have the word have. So that is my verb. Okay, it's my state of being. And who or what have? People. So people becomes my, is not becomes, but is my subject. Okay, but people have form because that's what morph means. If you listen to that again, so put your hand over that screen and listen again, people have morph. Does that necessarily sound correct to you? Because you should say, well, what do you mean by that? Okay, that should be that follow-up question for you. So even though there is a subject and a verb, that doesn't necessarily mean that it makes sense to your reader. Okay. The other thing that you're missing again, so we have punctuation, but we're missing that capitalization portion. All right. Again, here comes in this part where we really want you to use the root word to come up with or to find a word that uses that root or a word that incorporates that root. So when I think about to form, right, I think about butterflies because that's what I can remember really clearly learning when I was younger. So a sentence that I came up with was metamorphosis, which you'll have to bear with me while I spell. I knew that was wrong, but metamorphosis is when a cocoon forms into a butterfly. Okay. That would be, so then I have the word, so meta, right? Metamorphosis. I've got that morph in here. I'll highlight that for you. Sorry. I have that morph in there, so to change its form. It's when a cocoon forms into a butterfly. So I'm showing you that it forms into it. It changes. So that's how I'm showing that I know the meaning of that word. The next one, my next example, I don't know where the number went. You had written, everyone can be neos. So neos means new. Can be is my verb form here. So you could just use can, but can be. Let's put those together. Either way would work. But who or what can be? Everyone. All right. So then there's my subject. So again, I have that subject verb. It is a complete thought. You have punctuation. You're missing that capitalization portion again, right? But again, put your hand over the screen. Everyone can be neos. What does that mean? So if we know that neos means new, then I want you to think about, well, when is there a time, where is there a place that I think about something being new? For me, I always think about the neonatal care unit because, that's, I have reference to it. I have that prior knowledge. So the sentence that I came up with was, when born, some babies spend time in the neonatal section of the hospital. So when I write that, how do I know? How am I portraying to my reader that this word neo, right? Because that's where from neos comes. How am I showing my reader that I know that means new? Well, then you should immediately be referencing this word babies. Babies is identifying to me that I'm talking about something or someone that is new. Going forward, I really, really want you to work on that capitalization and that punctuation portion. Punctuation's doing a lot better, but remember, every sentence has to start with a capital letter or it's not technically a sentence, right? Because grammatically it's not correct. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, Julia.